If you think prophecies are just ancient stories, think again. These words, written thousands of years ago, still echo with urgency and relevance for us today. They're not just relics of a distant past, but living messages that challenge, warn, and invite us to reflect on our own lives and choices. When God draws his sword, even the bravest tremble. The mightiest warriors, those who once stood fearless in the face of battle, now find their courage melting away. The power of divine judgment is something no human strength can withstand, and the trembling hands gripping swords are a symbol of how even the strongest are brought low before God's will. Ezekiel 21 isn't just history, it's a wake-up call. The storm clouds gathering over the city are not just for ancient Jerusalem, but for every generation that forgets the weight of justice and the reality of consequences. The alarmed faces, the anxious awakening remind us that God's warnings are meant to stir us from complacency. Ezekiel 21 opens with a chilling message. God tells Ezekiel to set his face against Jerusalem, against the sanctuary, and against all of Israel. Imagine the weight of that command, to stand as a lone voice, declaring judgment not just on enemies, but on your own people, your own sacred places. The prophet's burden is heavy and his words are sharp. The warning, I am against you. I will draw my sword and cut off both the righteous and the wicked. This is not a selective judgment, but a sweeping act that spares no one. The unsheathing of the sword is a dramatic symbol. God's patience has limits, and when those limits are reached, his justice is swift and decisive. God's sword isn't a random disaster, it's judgment, precise and unstoppable. Every strike is measured, every blow purposeful. This is not chaos, but the execution of a divine verdict. The determined eyes of the warrior reflect the certainty and resolve with which God acts when justice must be done. Ezekiel is told to groan with bitter grief, because the news coming will melt every heart and weaken every hand. The prophet's mourning is not just for himself, but for an entire nation facing the consequences of its choices. The grief is deep, the sorrow overwhelming as the reality of judgment settles in. The sword is sharpened, polished, flashing like lightning, prepared for the hand of the slayer. This is a vivid image of readiness, of a judgment that is not only imminent but unavoidable. The preparation of the sword is a warning that the time for repentance is running out. Israel's leaders and people alike face this judgment. No one is exempt. Kings, elders, citizens, all are called to account. The collective anxiety, the gathering of fearful faces, shows that when God's justice comes, it sweeps through every level of society. Even the king's crown will be torn away, the high brought low, and the lowly lifted up. The symbols of power and pride are stripped away, and those who thought themselves secure are humbled. In God's eyes,